Treasures of the Aegean is a very interesting concept for a game. We played the demo of this one earlier in 2021, and I got press key to play the full game of it here. And it's a concept that I really liked, and there's a lot of potential here to be developed forward. So our story is a mysterious island rumored to be the lost city of Atlantis has been unearthed after a volcanic eruption, and we are the first people on the scene to explore this place as our treasure hunter slash mysterious person with a dark past can demonstrate, who's also very resilient, as you saw right there. Unfortunately, as it turns out, the island is set to erupt in about 13 minutes, and when that happens, the world also gets destroyed. But we have one advantage on our side, and that is that we are stuck in a time loop. So this is kind of, I guess, like a Tomb Raider meets Deathloop in a very weird case. Our mission: explore the island looking for treasures, as well as the clues needed in order to save the world. Now, as you've been watching this footage, you can probably assume, or you're probably assuming that this is a Metroidvania style game, and it really is not. This is more of an action-adventure title. How this works is that every time you find the treasures, there's two kinds of treasures in this game. There are the collectible ones, and then there are the puzzle required ones. Getting collectible treasures will extend the time on subsequent runs. Right now, the footage you're seeing, you start at about 13 minutes. Eventually, you can get up to, I think, like 23, 24 minutes for each run. Puzzle-specific treasures, they reset on each loop, and they are used to unlock major progress. Your overall goal in Treasures is that there are 3 macro puzzles in 3 different parts of the island that you must complete on a single run, which will then open up the finale and the ending. But to get all the clues and items needed, you are going to have to explore and kind of make sense of this place. And this is a huge map. And I can definitely tell developers spent a lot of time on balancing and designing it. Because after the first initial runs, the game will randomly place you on a specific part of the island. So the areas are designed around multiple routes in order to make sure that the player is never soft-locked. There are no upgrades in this game, with the exception to a few bonus power-ups. They are found by completing smaller puzzles, but they do not change how you really get around the island. Your initial core set here of running, jumping, wall jumping, and so on is always going to remain the same. There is no death in this game as well. If you ever take fatal damage or fatal fall, you will simply lose a minute of your total time for that loop. And the game itself, in terms of its platforming, is really well done. The game feel is on point in Treasures of the Aegean. The only thing is that there are a few jumps I would say are a little funky in terms of what they expect out of the player. And the game definitely leans into its platforming elements. There are some parts that you have to be very precise in terms of how you jump to have any chance of making them. But in terms of the actual requirements of getting through the game, I would say it's more on the moderate side in terms of difficulty. Again, because of how fluid the game feel is, it doesn't really feel all that hard to get around. Now, with that said, I want to talk a little bit more about the overall quest of Treasures of the Aegean, because I think there's a lot of potential here going forward, and what the game does right and wrong in that respect. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll explain that. And as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my latest books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. What I really like about Treasures of the Aegean is how developers really set up the kind of puzzle and exploration of the game. The scene that you just saw there, again, is a collection of old clues that you uncover while playing, and I like how it updates with the solutions to puzzles once you've found them in the space, so you really don't need to write anything down. At most, my main suggestion for those of you watching this is to use the map marker system to mark important treasure chests, as well as locations of some of the bonus challenges. It will make your life a lot easier, trust me. But my main issue that I have with this game is that it is very limited in how much you can play it. This is not a roguelike. The map is obviously handmade 100%, and I would have loved to have seen or see somebody really take this concept forward with maybe having some procedural or random generation to really give you more of a space to run through. Another issue that I have with the game is that the ending just kind of like comes out of nowhere. I still don't quite understand, how all that was supposed to work. But again, we're dealing with time traveling or death looping a city of Atlantis, so maybe that's a little too far-fetched of a complaint. But the game itself, I think, does a really great job for the systems that it's trying to present itself. And we really don't see a lot of games that give you just a huge amount of real estate and just say, go, explore, find stuff. And it's quite a breath of fresh air in that respect. This is one of those games, I think, like Prodigal, that it doesn't do anything, I think, beyond or new for the genre, but it's still just a very well done, executed take on this kind of action platforming design. If you are a fan of platformers and you're looking for another one to play, definitely, complete recommendation for Treasures of the Aegean. It is a great concept that I think, again, more developers need to look at the kind of Groundhog Day scenario, death loop kind of design more. Stuff like the Sexy Brutale and Vision Soft Reset would also come to mind, along with, of course, Deathloop. I would love to see, again, more in this gameplay loop. Because, like I said, once you've solved all the puzzles, it really comes down to just memorization or just, taking a screenshot of all the clues, and then you have everything done for every future play. But with that said, we're going to wrap up our review here. I'd like to thank the developers for giving me a press key to check this one out. And let me tackle your game in the future. Please get in touch. Be sure to check out our Discord and Patreon link down below. And if you're interested in getting acknowledgement in my next book, donations of $15 or more will get you that up until January of 2022. So with all that said, thanks again for tuning in. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. And once again, this has been Treasures of the Aegean.